Okay, technical difficulties over. Oh no, technical difficulties not over. Okay, technical difficulties no longer.
Yes, we're working on it we're trying very hard. But a lot of these kids come out without the parents.
God damn it. Oh, come on.
Yes, we're working on it we're trying very hard. But a lot of these kids come out without the parents.
Okay, technical difficulty solved.
Children are brought here by coyotes and lots of bad people, cartels, and they're brought here and they used to use them to get into our country. We now have as strong a border as we've ever had. We're over 400 miles of brand new wall. You see the numbers, and we let people in, but they have to come in legally, and they come in through
But
merit.
how will you reunite these kids with their families,
Let me just tell you,
Mr.
they
President?
built cages. You know, they used to say, I built the cages, and then they had a picture in a certain newspaper. It was a picture of these horrible cages, and they said, look at these cages. President Trump built them, and then it was determined they were built. In 2014, that was him.
Do you have a plan to reunite the kids?
Yes, we're working on it we're trying very hard. But a lot of these kids come out without the parents. They come over through cartels and through coyotes and through gangs.
Vice President Biden, let me bring you into this conversation. Quick response and then another question to you.
These 500 plus kids came with parents.
They didn't actually, well, even if they did separate it, they were kind of forced to by the Obama administration. Now, who's the vice president to the Obama administration? Oh, it was Joe Biden.
Separated them at the border to make it a disincentive to come to begin with. They real tough. We're really strong. And guess what? They cannot. It's not coyotes didn't bring them over. Their parents were with them. They got separated from their.
How do you know? Because most of them were with drug cartels and coyotes. So, I'd like to take the person's word who has the facts, but it kind of looks like you two are just contradicting each other and saying, no, but, yeah. It's turning into the first presidential debate, but less arguing and less entertaining.
Their parents. And it makes us a laughing stock and violates every notion of who we are as a nation.
No, it doesn't. What are we as a notion of a nation if we can't retain our nation? If we just let everybody in, it won't become our nation. It will become someone else's nation. It won't stay the same. It will become somewhere else. It will become Mexico if Mexicans are coming in. Or it will become Iraq or if Iranians are coming in. It won't stay as the United States.
Let me ask you a follow-up
Kristen,
question.
they did it. We changed the policy.
Your response
They
to
did
that?
it. We changed.
did not.
They built the
separate
cages.
They,
Who built the cages, Joe?
let's talk about what
Who
we're
built the
talking about.
cages,
Let's
Joe?
talk about what we're talking about. What happened? Parents were ripped. Their kids were ripped from their arms and separated. And now they cannot find over 500 sets of those parents, and those kids are alone. Nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. It's criminal. It's criminal.
Let me
No,
ask
Kristen,
you
I will
about
say this.
immigration.
They
10
went down. We
seconds, and
brought
then I need to ask
reporters,
you.
everything. They are so well taken care of. They're in facilities that were so clean.
But some
and
of
have
them
gotten
haven't been
such
reunited
But
with their
just ask
families.
one question. Who built the cages? I'd love you to ask him that. Who built the cages?
Let me ask about your immigration policy, Mr. Vice President. The Obama administration did fail to deliver immigration reform, which had been a key promise during the administration. It also presided over record deportations as well.
Yeah, so I went without talking for a while because I thought those were some good points and I shouldn't interject. But now that it's over, will Joe Biden answer the question? I'm saying no. And what do you think he's gonna say? Mass deportation. What do you think he's gonna go say about mass deportation? Because if he says he's not, he's blatantly lying, as there was tons, literal tons of deportations. Get it? Tons of humans. But there were more deportations in the Obama's first 4 years than Trump's first 4 years.
as well as family detentions at the border before changing course. So why should voters trust you with an immigration overhaul now?
Because we made a mistake. It took too long to get it right.
That's not a mistake. 8 years is a long time for a mistake to happen. It almost seems purposeful. Wow. Now, where have I heard that before? Oh, it was a mistake. I can't remember where. I really can't. It's almost like the Democrats, anytime they screw up or contradict themselves, they say, oh, it was a mistake. Kamala Harris.
Took too long to get it right. I'll be president of the United States, not vice president of the United States. And the fact
Yeah, but you'll still be awful.
is, I've made it very clear. Within 100 days, I'm going to send to the United States Congress a pathway to citizenship for over 11 million undocumented.
God, I hate how we use undocumented. Well, yes, they are undocumented immigrants. They're also illegal. It's illegal to cross the border. Now, I'm not gonna go full Chuck Schumer on you and tell you anybody who says undocumented immigrants are automatically trying to devalue, the fact of illegal immigration. Chuck Schumer, you actually did say that during the Obama administration, but still, Joe Biden, that's not a very good point.
Many people. And all of those so-called dreamers, those DACA kids.
Oh, also, Trump did the exact same thing.
They're going to be immediately certified again to be able to stay in this country and put on a path to citizenship. The idea that they are being sent home by this guy and they want to do that is they go into a country.
Trump already did this. I don't know if you knew. Trump did this already. Like, he did exactly what Joe Biden is proposing to do. So, I don't know what Joe Biden's saying, because, well, it's basically just Trump 2.0, except more liberal.
Country they've never seen before. I can imagine you're 5 years old, your parents are taking you across the Rio Grande River and it's illegal. And you say, oh no, Mom, leave me here. I'm not going to go with you. They've been here. Many of them are model citizens. Over 20,000 of them are first responders out there taking care of people during this crisis.
Not illegal immigrants. Immigrants, regular immigrants, legal immigrants, not illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants, we don't actually know. You know why? Because they don't have proper registration. As in, we can't really control what they do, and they can't really get jobs, so they have to commit identity theft to get it.
We owe them. We owe them.
No, we don't.
Kristen, he had 8 years to do what he said he was going to do. And I've changed without having a specific. We got rid of catch and release. We got rid of a lot of horrible things that they put in and that they lived with. But he had 8 years he was vice president. He did nothing except build cages to keep children in.
Vice President.
I mean, yes, it is true he did that, but it's also very powerful. You're like, oh, are you going to go full Kamala? Shut up. It's powerful because it shows, hey, all these awful things, not caused by me, it's caused by Biden. And I think they're awful too. Just, well, don't blame it on me when we find out about it and how awful it is.
Provide your response.
The catch and release, you know what he's talking about there? If in fact you had a family came across and they were arrested, they in fact were given a date to show up for their hearing. They were released. And guess what? They showed up for a hearing. This is the first president.
Yeah, except they didn't. They didn't. Seriously. They wouldn't show up. Well, yes, it's true. They did show up to their hearings because immigration legal is good. They They weren't leaving after they were said, "Hey, you can't get in." They were still staying.
President, in the history of the United States of America, that anybody seeking asylum has to do it in another country. That's never happened before in America. That's never happened before in America. You come to the United States and you make your case that I seek asylum based on the following premise: why I deserve it under American law. They're sitting in squalor on the other side of the river.
President Trump, your response,
so
30
important.
seconds, and then
Okay, so how do you think he's going to respond to that? I don't deny asylum seekers. I just deny illegal immigrants. I mean, pretty good, but not the best thing he can do because it kind of seems like a bit rude. So, how's he gonna go do it? This is a very interesting question. Shoot, no! Okay, technical difficulties over.
The other side of the river.
President Trump, your response,
so
30
important.
seconds, and then we'll move
It just shows that he has no understanding of immigration or the laws. Catch and release is a disaster. A murderer would come in, a rapist would come in, a very bad person would come in. We would take their name. We have to release them into our country. And then you say they come back. Less than 1% of the people come back. We have to send ICE out and Border Patrol out to find them. We would say, come back in 2 years, 3 years. We're going to give you a court case. You need Perry Mason. We're going to give you a court case. When you say they come back, they don't come back, Joe.
Yeah.
They never come back. Only the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ, they might come back.
Okay,
But they're
President
very,
Trump, let's
very
give
few.
Vice President Biden a chance to respond, and then we're going to move on to the
You don't
next
know
section.
the law, Joe.
Vice President Biden, your response.
Know the law, what he's telling you is simply not true.
Well, check it
Check it
out. They
out.
don't come back.
Check it out.
All right, let's move
But
on
we don't have to
the
worry
next
about it. They
section.
terminated it, so we don't have to worry about it
Let's
anymore.
move on to the next
And you have
section.
525 kids not knowing where in God's name they're going to be and lost their parents.
Go ahead.
All right, let's talk about our next section, which is race in America. And I
Knew it.
want to talk about the way Black and Brown Americans experience race in this country. Part of that experience is something called the talk. It happens regardless of class and income. Parents who feel they have no choice but to prepare their children for the chance that they could be targeted, including by the police, for no reason other than the color of their skin. Mr. Vice President, in the next 2 minutes.
Okay, this seems something like only Democrat voters would. And also, why would you want to tell your children this? So, Jimmy, there just happened to be this chance that you might be targeted by the police for no apparent reason. Why? No, because police are racist. Really. And then you go tell them that. Well, what do you think little Jimmy's gonna go think? Well, oh my god. Oh my god, the police are awful. Maybe I should start protesting against them. Now, I'm not saying protesting against the police is bad, I'm saying brainwashing kids is.
I want you to speak directly to these families. Do you understand why these parents fear for their children?
I do. I do. You know, my daughter is a social worker, and she's written a lot about this. She has a graduate degree from the University of Pennsylvania in social work. And you know, one of the reasons why I ended up working on the east side of Wilmington, Delaware, which is 90% African American, was to learn more about what was going on. I never had to tell my daughter, if she's pulled over, make sure she puts, for a traffic stop, put both hands on top of the wheel and don't reach for the glove box because someone may shoot you. But a black parent.
Yeah, don't reach for the glove box. Oh yeah, and I'm a cop. Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo. Sir, you were pulled over for speeding. Oh my god, you're reaching for the glove box. Sir, put your hands in the air. Don't do that. Okay, when dealing with the police are on edge just as much as you are. They're wondering, does he have a gun? Does he have a knife? Is he going to hurt me? Just as much as, hey, if I do this, is he going to go shoot me? You are both kind of wondering the same things. So if you have a gun, tell him, don't reach for the gun. Tell him, I have a gun. The gun is located in wherever the gun is located. And then tell him, I will, please, and then just keep your hands on the wheel. Don't do anything else.
No matter how wealthy or how poor they are, has to teach their child when you're walking down the street, don't have a hoodie on when you go across the street. Making sure that you, in fact, if you get pulled over, yes, yes, sir, no, sir, hands on top of the wheel, because
Okay, I got this talk, and I'm not black.
you are, in fact, the victim, whether you're a person making child of a $300,000 a year person, or someone who's on food stamps. The fact of the matter is, there is institutional racism in America. And we have always said.
Okay, like what? Besides the police, because if there's so much institutional racism, you should be able to name 2 or more examples. I already have one, the police. I need one more.
We've never lived up to it. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women are created equal. Guess what? We have never, ever lived up to it, but we've always constantly been moving the needle further and further to inclusion, not exclusion. This is the first president.
Oh God, we have equal, opportunity. Just because you're born into a bad family doesn't mean that the rich should give to you. I know it sounds a bit, kind of mean, but just because, here, let's think about it this way. I broke a bone, right? Let's say I did. Well, I'm not, should I get a new bone just because I broke mine? Or what? Well, okay, it's slightly different, but I mean, it's kind of the same. Other people shouldn't pay for your misfortunes.
President come along and says, that's the end of that. We're not going to do that anymore. We have to provide for economic opportunity, better education, better health care, better access to schooling, better access to opportunity to borrow money to start businesses. All the things we can't.
Borrowing money to start businesses. Now, where have I heard that? 2008 economic crash. Anybody?
And I've laid out a clear plan as to how to do those things, just to give people a shot. It's about accumulating the ability to have wealth as well as it is to be free from violence.
President Trump, same question to you, and let me remind you of the question. I would like you to speak directly to these families. Do you understand why these parents fear for their children?
Yes, I do. And again, he's been in government 47 years. He never did a thing except in 1994 when he did such harm to the black community. And they were called, and he called them super predators. And he said that. He said it, super predators. And they kept never lived that down.
He's talking about the 1994 crime bill, which basically in all Democrats agree should be torn down. But I wonder who wrote it. Oh wow, it just so happens to be Joe Biden.
1994, your crime bill, the super predators. Nobody has done more for the black community than Donald Trump. And if you look, with the exception of Abraham Lincoln, possible exception, but the exception of Abraham Lincoln, no.
Donald Trump should have, in modern history, nobody has done more than me in modern history.
Nobody has done what I've done. Criminal justice reform. Obama and Joe didn't do it. I don't even think they tried because they had no chance at doing it. They might have wanted to do it, but if you had to see the arms I had to twist to get that done, it was not a pretty picture. And everybody knows it, including some very liberal people that cried in my office. They cried in the Oval Office. 2 weeks later, they're out saying, gee, we have to defeat him. Criminal justice reform, prison reform, opportunity zones with Tim Scott, a great senator from South Carolina. He came in with this incredible idea for opportunity zones. It's one of the most successful programs. People don't talk about it. Tremendous investment is being made. Biggest beneficiary, the black and Hispanic communities. And then,
well, Okay. I've actually never heard of this, which proves Trump's point. Nobody's talking about it. But if this is true, Trump's done a lot more for the black community than, well, a lot of people in modern history.
Historically black colleges and universities. After 3 years of coming to the office, I love some of those guys. They were great. They came into the office and they said, I said, what are you doing? After 3 years, I said, why do you keep coming back? Because we have no funding. I said, you don't have to come back every year. We have to come back because President Obama would never give them long-term funding. And I did 10-year long-term funding. And I gave them more money than they asked for because they said, I think you need more. And I said, the only bad part about this is I may never see you again because I got very friendly with them and they like me and I like them. But I saved it. Colleges and universities.
Okay, and we're going to talk about both of your records, but your response to that, Vice
My
President?
response to that is I never, ever said what he accused me of saying.
Oh, you should read your crime bill, Joe Biden, where it directly says black people are super predators. Okay, it doesn't directly say that, but it says black people are super predators. Okay, that's paraphrasing, but whatever.
The fact of the matter is, in 2000, though, after the crime bill had been in the law for a while, this is a guy who said, the problem with the crime bill, there's not enough people in jail. There's not enough people in jail. And go on my website, get the quote, the date when he said it. Not enough people. He talked about marauding gangs, young gangs, and the people who are going to maraud our cities. This is a guy who in the Central Park five innocent black kids, he continued to push for making sure that they got the death penalty. None of them were guilty of the crimes they were suggested. Look, and talk about
Did the jury convict them? Because if so, then they are guilty.
Granted, he did in fact let 20 people. He commuted 20 people sentences. We commuted over 1,000 people sentences. Over 1,000. The very law he's talking about is a law that, in fact, initiated by Barack Obama. And secondly, we're in a situation here where the federal prison system was reduced by 38,000 people under our administration. And one of these things we should be doing, there should be no minimum mandatories in the law. That's why.
And there isn't. There's this thing called state of mind. State of mind says, hey, were you all there? And if not, hey, you kind of get off. Now, I don't really like it because of you kind of get off, but there is no minimum. For murder, you can go for 1 year.
That's why I'm offering $20 billion to states to change their state laws to eliminate.
So you're basically bribing states.
Minimum mandatories and set up drug courts. No one should be going to jail because they have a drug problem. They should be going to rehabilitation, not to jail. We should fundamentally change the system, and that's what I'm going to do.
But why didn't he do it 4 years ago? Why didn't you do that 4 years ago, even less than that? Why didn't you do it? You were vice president. You keep talking about all these things you're going to do and you're going to do this, but you were there just a short time ago and you guys did nothing.
We did.
You know, Joe, I ran because of you. I ran because of Barack Obama, because you did a poor job. If I thought you did a good job, I would have never run. I would have never run. I ran because of you. I'm looking at you now. You're a politician. I ran because of you.
All right, Vice President Biden, your response to that, and then I do have some questions for both of you.
Well, I tell you what, I hope he does look at me, because what's happening here is, you know who I am, you know who he is.
And I'm choosing Trump.
You know his character, you know my character. You know our reputations for honor and telling the truth. I am anxious to have this race. I am anxious to see this take place. The character of the country is on the ballot. Our character is on the ballot. Look at us closely.
Let me ask some follow-up.
Excuse me.
Please respond, and then we're going to have follow-up.
If this stuff is true about Russia, Ukraine, China, other countries, Iraq, if this is true, then he's a corrupt politician.
All right.
So don't give me the stuff about how you're this innocent baby. Joe, they're calling you a corrupt politician.
Nobody.
President Trump, I want to stay on the issue of race. We're talking about the issue.
From hell.
President Trump, we're
Nobody.
talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race. President Trump.
looks like they're trying to suppress the news story about Biden. But whatever, they're trying to stay on topic. Fine, whatever.
I have to respond to that.
Please.
Because look,
Very
there are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plan. They have
Notice he said former, as in they have no idea if it actually is a Russian plant.
said that this has all the five former heads of the CIA, both parties,
Former heads.
say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
And
You
that's
gotta-
exactly what.
Is this
that's
where you're going?
exactly what.
This is
told.
where he's going.
The laptop is from. So the person who found it says it's not a Russia plant. Trump says it's not a Russia plant. Joe Biden says it's a Russian plant. And some former CIA heads say it's a Russia plant. Well, let's see. I wonder who those CIA plants were deposed by. Oh yeah, Trump. So it'd kind of make Trump look bad if, I don't know, his thing to accuse Joe Biden of corruption was just dismissed off as a Russia plant. You know, it would kind of hurt Trump.
All right.
Laptop is Russia,
Gentlemen,
Russia.
I want to stay on the issue of race.
You
okay?
have to be kidding. Here we
Mr.
go
President,
again with Russia.
We're going to continue on the issue of race. Mr. President, you've described the Black Lives Matter movement as a symbol of hate. You've shared a video of a man chanting white power to millions of your supporters. You've said that black professional athletes exercising their First Amendment rights should be fired. What do you say to Americans who say that kind of language from a president is...
Okay, well, so that fired one is Colin Kaepernick, and the quote was taken out of context by them because he was talking about, hey, why doesn't the NFL just fire him? Like, and he did because nobody wants the drama. But he's like, couldn't you just believe it if we could fire him? I mean, yeah.
contributing to a climate of hate and racial strife.
Well, you have to understand, the first time I ever heard of Black Lives Matter, they were chanting pigs in a blanket, talking about police. Pigs, talking about our police. Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. I said, that's a horrible thing. And they were marching down the street. And that was my first glimpse of Black Lives Matter. I thought it was a terrible thing. As far as my relationships with all people, I think I have great relationships with all people. I am the least racist person in this room.
What do you say to Americans who are concerned by
That's, So I wonder how Joe Biden's going to respond to that, even if he does.
that rhetoric?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say. I got criminal justice reform done and prison reform and opportunity zones. I took care of black colleges and universities. I don't know what to say. They can say anything. I mean, they can say anything. It makes me sad because I am the least racist person. I can't even see the audience because it's so dark, but I don't care who's in the audience. I'm the least racist person in this room.
Okay, Vice President Biden, let me ask you very quickly, and then I have a follow-up question for you.
Abraham Lincoln here is one of the most racist presidents we've had in modern history.
Abraham Lincoln. Wait, what? What'd he say?
Follow-up question for you.
Abraham Lincoln here is one of the most racist presidents we've had in modern history.
Abraham Lincoln wasn't in modern history. Joe Biden, I don't think you understand that.
Pours fuel on every single racist fire. Every single one. Started off his campaign coming down the escalator saying he's going to get rid of those Mexican rapists. He's banned Muslims because they're Muslims.
Okay, no, he hasn't. First of all, the list of countries will really impose a travel restriction on was created by the Obama administration. Oh no! So tell me who's the racist here, but okay. But calling Mexicans racist, he wasn't calling all Mexicans racist. He was calling the major gang in uh, Mexico, the HR something, I forgot which gang it is, rapists and murderers.
He has moved around and made everything worse across the board. He says about the poor boys. Last time we were on stage here, he said, I told them to stand down and stand ready. Come on. This guy is a dog whistle about as big as a foghorn.
He told them, hey, back off, shut up, get away. Shoot.
President Trump, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to respond, and then I have a follow-up.
He made a reference to Abraham Lincoln. Where did that come in? I mean,
You said
where
you're
did
Abraham
that,
Lincoln.
No, where did that? No.
We didn't.
You said
I said not since Abraham Lincoln has anybody done what I've done for the black community.
And I'm
I
saying
didn't say I'm Abraham Lincoln. I said not since Abraham Lincoln has.
Joe Biden just had an awful gaffe. I was thinking, where did Abraham Lincoln come in? Trump didn't even mention anything. Joe Biden, you're really slipping.
Anybody done what I've done for the black community? Now, you have done nothing other than the crime bill, which put
oh God.
tens of thousands of black men mostly in jail.
All right, let me
You know what?
let me
They
ask
remember
Vice
it because
President
if you
Biden
look
a
at what's
question.
happening with the voting right now,
Let me ask
they
Vice
remember
President
that
Biden
you treated them
about
very, very badly.
The-
Just take a look at what's happening out there.
Vice President Biden, let me give you a chance to respond within this context. Crime
Okay.
bills that you supported in the 80s and 90s contributed to the incarceration of tens of thousands of young
Even the CNN host knows it.
black men who had small amounts of drugs in their possession. They are sons, they are brothers, they're fathers, they're uncles, whose families are still to this day, some of them suffering the consequences. So speak to those families. Why should they vote for you?
One of the things is that in the 80s, we passed 100%, all 100 senators voted for it, a bill on drugs and how to deal with drugs. It was a mistake. I've been trying to change it since then, particularly the portion
It wasn't just the 80s, it was also the 90s.
on cocaine. That's why I've been arguing that, in fact, we should not send anyone to jail for a pure drug offense. They should be going into treatment across the board. That's what we should be spending money. That's why I set up drug courts, which were never funded by our Republican friends. They should not be going to jail for a drug or an alcohol problem. They should be going into treatment.
Alcohol's not illegal, it's dangerous, though, if you're drunk driving.
Treatment. That's what we've been trying to do. That's what I'm going to get done because I think maybe the American people have now seen that, in fact, it was a mistake to pass those laws relating to the drug. But they were not in the crime bill.
But why didn't he get it done? See, it's all talk, no action with these politicians. Why didn't he get it done? That's what I'm going to do when I become president. You were vice president along with Obama.
After this segment, the video is going to end. Just warning you. Actually, yeah. Actually, end of video, bye.